Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Trading the Markets. I'm Bijan Maleki, and of course, I'm joined by Kris Bullock. Guys, before we get into our trade ideas of the week and breaking down the cycle and looking at some charts, I want to remind you all that we have just about a week, just under a week left of our trade ideas competition. So if you haven't entered yet, you still have some time. I would say now is the moment that you should be swinging for the fences. So enter some trades. The winner top prize gets a one-on-one with Ral. So that's a great prize to have. Sit with the man himself and pick his brain and talk to him one-on-one. And we're giving away some merch as well as some other prizes for people that place on the leaderboard. And after you check out our episode today, definitely head over to our website if you are an RV Pro member and check out our newest edition of Macro Meets Micro, where Andreas breaks down his portfolio and how his trades are doing. Another fantastic episode. And then also want to remind you all, we talk about this all day, every day in our Discord. So if you're not in our Discord, go and join us now, and you can take part in the conversations live and just pick the brain of the hive mind and see what fits your portfolio strategy. And of course, if you have any questions that you want Kris to discuss live on air, any charts you want us to look at, any coins you're interested in playing into, just drop your questions either on the platform or on X, and we will take as many as we can. Kris, happy Wednesday. How are you doing? It's a different vibe from our Monday show. We were discussing that off air, but how are you doing today?
Doing much better than Monday, actually. Things are great now. Yeah, before we get into that, though, I wanted to kind of piggyback on what you said about the Discord. I've been in, I don't even know how many dozens of Discords over the years in crypto, and I gotta say, 99% of them are, I don't want to say garbage, some are better than others, but like most of them, there's just no depth to them. It's just a bunch of randos kind of posting memes and posting silly stuff, and there's not really any quality engagement. Half the time there's idiots, saying nasty comments to people. People are just generally not very nice to each other. And when I, stumbled on the Real Vision Discord, it was like night and day better. It was like a whole different world. It's far and away, the best crypto community I've ever been in anywhere by far. I mean, everybody is super nice, super helpful, very respectful towards each other. There's quality discourse. I mean, it's like you're a family and you feel like it instantly, and everybody's super welcoming there. And so I know when it's easy to say, oh, they have a Discord, oh, that's cool, who cares, but really it is like, it's far and away better than anything else. So I encourage you to, join and get in there and start engaging. If you're looking for like a community, if you're navigating this crypto journey on your own, or, you don't have a lot of friends to talk about this with, you really need a support system. And unlike a lot of other Discords, you can get that support system in the Real Vision Discord. It really is that. It really is amazing. And you will be so much better for it, and you will make so much better decisions. You just need somebody to you need to have a sounding board, to bounce your ideas off of, and to make sure you're kind of doing the right thing, and to have that sort of check and balance. And you get that from this Discord. You really do. And so, yeah, I really wanted to kind of hammer that point home, because it is different. It really is different.
Yeah, very well said. Just a prime example that really is a very recent one. We had someone just join our Discord a pro member just joined our Discord, and she was asking about her portfolio. She gave the breakdown of what her portfolio held, was asking for some advice on what they should do, and kind of went into depth in some different scenarios of what they were thinking. And the amount of responses she got was just fantastic. She even responded back that she was like almost brought to tears, essentially, with how like supportive and how many great responses she got from that. So like that's the kind of stuff we're doing, right? We're helping you take control of that financial future. Yeah, you'll get that in the content, but our members are, watching that content as well, getting their own ideas from it, having those discussions. And it's just, honestly, it's just great to see. I posted that Michael Scott meme of like of him proud crying when I saw that. So just absolutely love it. Keep it up, everyone. We love to see it. And if you're new, don't be afraid to ask anything, even if you think it's a dumb question. I've been there. Listen, nobody asks dumber questions than me. So just go ahead and just type them in, and you'll be just you'll be surprised at the type of responses you're going to get and how helpful they actually are. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, join us, guys. We're here for you. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's dive into it though, and let's dive into some of the content that we have for you today. We got some charts to look at. So Kris, why don't you tell us what's
Yeah.
on your mind as we hit this midweek?
So yeah, a couple things. I wanted to kind of take a fairly zoomed out approach because we've had a lot of volatility over the last couple of weeks with all of the quote news driven events that have been going on, and it's shaken a number of people out. And so usually when that happens, I think it's really important to kind of just take a zoomed out approach, look at everything on the weekly time frame, and get a sense of just actually how healthy is this market overall, and what's really doing well and what isn't. Because if it's doing well on the weekly time frame, then it's doing well. It's doing well overall. I mean, anything can have a few good days or a week or so here and there. But if you're in a solid uptrend on the weekly time frame, then that's all that matters. Then you're winning. And so really, I kind of wanted to start off with Bitcoin, looking at it, because we've had a bit of a significant shift here that I think is worth pointing out. And that is really, this red line is basically drawn at, well, it's not quite the 100,000 level. It's technically almost 1,000 or 100,000, 101,000 rather. But the point is, earlier in the year and coming into last year, you can see we basically had trouble getting over this hump. We would come up to the 100,000 level, basically get rejected. We'd have like a false break where it would close one week and then immediately drop back down below it the next week. And then again, it happened. We had another false break here in January where it managed to close above it, but then immediately again blew right back down below it and just kind of went down from there and was down only. And so now that we've come out of the April lows, you can see that we've actually, achieved basically, we've blown through the $100,000 level, and now we're on, what is this week? I want to say 8. We've 8 weeks now. We've held this level, and you can see we've come down and tested it a number of times. We have a wick here, a wick here, a wick, a close right at it, and then a little bit wick below it again. And for 8 weeks in a row now, we've held this level. We've officially flipped the $100,000 level from resistance back here to now support here. We successfully retested it a number of times and have bounced off of it. Now, granted, we haven't gone on to set new all-time highs. Well, we did kind of briefly, at the end of May or in the middle of May, but nothing really substantial. We've not like broken out yet. But you could argue that 100,000 or 101,000 is now kind of the floor that we're looking at. It's now sort of cemented itself as the floor, which I think is a really strong sign. And then if you kind of zoom out a little bit more, you can see here I've drawn this long-term trend line going all the way back to like basically November of 2022, or really the start of this current 4-year-long Bitcoin cycle that we're in. And we're holding this trend line very well. I mean, yeah, we deviated a little bit here. We came down, we touched it here. We came down, we touched it again in April. But we've since bounced off of it again, and we're continuing this just nice, steady, gradual grind upwards with Bitcoin. And nothing is broken here. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, well, we're doing this double top thing, kind of like we did back here in 2021." I don't see that at all. Frankly, I don't think that that's a likely, sure, it's a scenario, but to me, it's by far not the most likely scenario. And I think that everything looks great. Another thing we have here is this thing called the bull market support band, which is these two levels here. You've probably heard me talk about it before. It's these two moving averages with this cloud in between. And what these are basically two weekly moving averages. So the red line on the bottom, in this case here, is the 20-week simple moving average. And then the green line on the top is the 21-week exponential moving average. And this indicator stays fixed on the weekly time frame all the time, no matter what actual time frame your chart is on. So if you change this daily or hourly or whatever, these two lines will still show up as weekly intervals on whatever chart. And one of the things I use to gauge the overall health of any chart is if price is above this bull market support band, and then 2, if the band itself, if both of the moving averages that make up the band are pointed in an upward direction. If you have that scenario where you check those 3 boxes, then you're jamming, you're rocking, and there's actually not very many assets right now that can make this claim where their price is above it and both moving averages are pointed up and to the right. And so I wanted to get into this because we had a member in our Real Vision community in the Discord. I was talking about this over the weekend in the Discord, and one of the community members took it upon themselves to create this really amazing website called Bullmarket. It's just bullmarketsupportband.com. You can go to it right now. It's live. Anybody can use it. It's free. You don't have to sign up or anything. You just pull it up and it's there. And what this is basically the top 100 cryptos by market cap, and any of the assets that meet those three boxes, that prices above it and both moving averages are pointed up and to the right, it shows a green next to it. And if it doesn't, it's got a red. And so you can see out of the top 100, only 20 right now are actually in a weekly uptrend, basically. And so the cool thing about this website too is it auto refreshes. You don't have to do anything to update it. You can actually search for something. Like if you don't want to sit here and stare at this list for a few minutes to try and find yours, you just start typing and it'll quickly filter it out, and it'll pull it right up like that. The other cool thing is if you mouse over any of these, it actually pulls up the actual trading view chart. And it shows you the two bands. They're not colored and shaded like on the actual trading view chart, but you can see the two moving averages there. You can see that they're pointing up in this case. It also gives you a quick little summary. The 20 weeks rising, the 21 is rising. Price is above the band. Everything's healthy in this case. And so I love this because this is it's just such an easy, quick snapshot to gauge how well the market's doing, for one, and then two. To gauge, if the assets if you're holding the right assets, for one, you want to be holding stuff that is in the green, obviously. And if you're holding stuff that's in the red, you need to seriously assess why, you're continuing to hold it. It just makes it super easy to know, hey, I'm in the right stuff. This is the stuff that's doing well, and or not, and I love this. It really can be this simple. Participating in crypto can be this simple. You want to hold the stuff that's in the green, and you don't want to hold the stuff that's in the red, and kind of simple as that. Because anything that's in a weekly uptrend is showing kind of outsized strength over a longer period of time, and it's that's what you want to. Those are the horses you want to bet on. Is that, and so. This is amazing resource, and this is the kind of stuff we get from the Real Vision community. I brought this up on Friday. I was like, man, I kind of made like a manual Excel table of the same thing and posted it in the Discord. And I actually had made that Excel sheet manually. I literally went and physically observed every single chart. Is it, are both moving averages pointing up? Okay, yeah, cool, it's green. And I posted that in the Discord, and somebody just took this and ran with it and was like, here you go. By Sunday night, here's an active live working website of everything that updates dynamically, And I was like, this is the coolest community ever. And so yeah, I just wanted to shout this out, and a great resource, and I'm going to continue to use it. This will be a tab that I'm just going to have up pretty much forever, at this point. And it'll be a quick, easy way to know if the stuff that I'm holding is doing well or not. And it's great. So yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to our community member. I mean, it's we have that Atreides indicator from Math that kind of shows you when Bitcoin is flipping. We have people like Altcoin Screener that were posting things of how altcoins were doing compared to Bitcoin and when good entries were. We have people like Lance that's using AI to kind of break down content and give you indicators and trade ideas. There's a lot of different things going on. So yeah, we got to give a shout out to everyone doing all that great stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
So Kris, you know what? We actually got an early question that I think I want to take because it kind of leads me into another coin that's been just on an absolute tear. This one comes from Alex Crypto. He wants us to take a look at the Coinbase chart and see how it's doing. And the one that I have on my mind with that was Arrow as well. That one really popped up on the last couple weeks of our live TA sessions, and it's just been on a tear.
Yeah. So Coinbase looks really good, and you have to remember Coinbase is going to benefit from Circle doing well because they're very linked. The two of them are very linked to one another. There's profit sharing going on between. So as Circle does, so too does Coinbase. And so we know Circle has been really, really hot out of the gate since it launched. And you can see kind of Coinbase has benefited from that. They've been on a big uptrend, particularly over the last 2 weeks. This is a weekly chart here. And so, worth pointing out, it wasn't a big uptrend for a long time after since the start of January 23. It did kind of break that trend when everything sort of tanked, at the beginning of the year. It sort of followed crypto like it does. But unlike a number of cryptos, it's actually right back up into the upper, it's right now coming up back to the upper trend. It's pushing all-time highs, basically. It's right near its initial IPO launch, not quite there, but it's well on its way, and very, very close to basically entering into what we call price discovery, where it's going to break on to new all-time highs and just sort of be in price discovery. So yeah, I think coin looks really good, and I think as long as Circle continues to do well, which I think it will, because crypto is doing well. So if Bitcoin is doing well, if Circle is doing well, you can assume Coinbase is going to do well, and we're seeing that. And so yeah, absolutely, I think that this is a good chart. And like I said, yes, it's a little bit overheated right now. It's had 2 big weeks to the upside. It's a little bit overbought, but I think it's going to trade a bit like a crypto asset, in that sometimes things can be pretty overbought for sometimes weeks on end, and that could very well be the case here with this, especially if it breaks out into new all-time highs. So definitely on my radar, definitely one to watch, and I think a really strong looking chart that I think will continue to do well.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Alex. Actually, you know what? While we're still on this, I have a question, because you kind of touched on this, and we hear this a lot, that it's basically just a good asset to have. Coinbase is a good one to hold if you want to kind of make a bet on the overall success of crypto. What do you think about holding Coinbase over like something like Solana, or a SUI, or a Bitcoin? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a beta play, kind of just like anything else. I would argue that it'll probably be even a little bit less volatile than Solana or SUI. To me, it's almost more like a beta play on Bitcoin directly, and I think it's a good avenue for people who maybe don't have direct access to Bitcoin. Maybe they want access or sort of exposure to the crypto ecosystem, but they want to get it through like their 401k or their retirement plan at work, or some kind of pension type deal, and they can't go and buy Bitcoin directly through that. Coin stock is a great way to achieve that. You can buy coin stock, you can buy Bitcoin ETFs also you can buy MicroStrategy. But yeah, coin is great. Circle is great too. Having having exposure to the stablecoin sort of space, I think, is going to be a really valuable stock too going forward, because it's just so profitable. Stablecoins make so much money, and or stablecoin companies rather make so much money, because they are legally, right now, at least in the US, they are legally obliged to keep all of the interest, all of the yield that they make, because how stablecoins work is people buy the stablecoin issuers take that money and they go and just buy treasuries with it, T-bills and bonds and stuff like that. And so they're earning yield on all of these billions of dollars that make up the stablecoin market cap, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, and that they're forced to keep, basically, because they can't legally sort of give any of that back to the holders yet. That's still going through the regulatory situation right now. So yeah, they make a ton of money. It's like guaranteed profit, basically, and we know it's only going to get bigger. We know the market is only going to get bigger, and so their profit's only going to grow. So in terms of like it being a great stock, yeah, all day long, that's all you want, is just like super, super profitable, easy money. It doesn't take a huge staff to generate this profit. It's relatively low overhead. So yeah, I mean, Circle's great. And again, Coinbase is going to directly benefit, because Coinbase shares in that profit with Circle. Those two companies are sort of intrinsically linked to each other. And so as one does, so does the other, like I said. So both of these are really, really good bets.
Yeah, very, very nice touch there. And Coinbase is working on trading with doing trades with tokenized stocks, right? So, I mean, as the company itself, they are also expanding their offerings, which is just bullish for the whole space in general. But speaking of Circle and Coinbase, they're not the only ones that are doing very well right now. I know you wanted to touch on something coming out of Maple Finance. So why don't we take a look at that?
So yeah, first off, I wanted to, where is it on here? I noticed it has been doing well. Let's see. Oh, now it's frozen. Okay, anyway, I'll whatever. Everything's frozen. Are you there? Are you back?
Yes.
Okay. My computer froze for a sec. Sorry, bear with me. All right, so let's just look at Circle. So, or Syrup rather. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, it's been crushing it, and I'm going to go out to the daily because it's a relatively new chart since they've rebranded. But yeah, it's been outpacing everything. It's one of the handful of things that's on the green today, and you can see here's the bull market support band, like I talked about earlier, and it was showing up green on that website that I just had up. But here's both the moving averages pointed up and to the right. Again, you can't say that about very many. Well, 20 as I mentioned, but this one's continuing to rip. And at first I was like, what's going on here? Is this just sort of speculative hype that is causing this to go up as high as it is? And yes, it is to some degree, but it's also got a lot of fundamental, good developments going on. Their TVL has blown up basically over the last few months. It's gone, or 6 months, it's gone from like 300 million to like 1.6 billion. It's network activity has blown up. They also released a yield-bearing stablecoin, which is super cool, and not many people have been able to do that. So that's really cool. They're working with a lot of TradFi companies. They've secured a Bitcoin-backed institutional loan. They've just got some cool stuff going on. They're unique, and so that's why fundamentally people are gravitating towards it. And yes, I think it's maybe a little bit overcooked in the moment. But I do think it still has quite a bit of room to go. Its market cap is relatively low too. I think it's only like, I want to say around 600 million, which is nice because that gives it plenty of upside to go. It's further down in the market cap ranking, and so I think this could easily double from here. I don't know that I see it doing like a 10x or anything, but I do think that this is a really solid play, and it's definitely caught my eye. And they've got kind of the fundamentals to back it up right now too. So. Again, it's a little overhyped, but it's something I think to keep an eye on, and I do think it's something that has legs that I think will continue to move its way up the rankings and continue to be a solid bet going forward.
Yeah, volume. I'm looking at the volume chart on the bottom there. Looks like we had a
Yeah.
huge spike in between May and June. And while it did taper off, I mean, it's still pretty consistent volume days coming in that are, pretty high, right? So great shout out on Syrup there. Okay. So I wanted to, we have quite a few questions coming in. So I don't know where, we talked a lot about some serious stuff with Coinbase and Syrup and Circle. So let's switch gears a little bit. This one comes from Neil Sherman. Kris, could you look at the dog to the moon meme coin? I've been in it for a while, but I'm curious as to your thoughts.
Let's see.
So for those of you, while Kris brings up the chart, Dog to the Moon is, probably the most hyped meme coin on Bitcoin, right? Or the,
Oops.
From at least, yeah, definitely one of the most hyped on Bitcoin at one point, right? Leonidas on Twitter on X was leading the charge on that. So here we go. Let's see what we got.
Let's see. So it's actually doing pretty well, I would say. So it, just like everything else, I mean, it basically nuked in the big downtrend. How did it lost 90%, which is sadly on par with with a lot of stuff during that downtrend. It was pretty ugly. But then what do we got coming out of the lows? So it got up as high as 476%, not bad. Currently sitting at 285, also pretty good. Another thing I'm seeing, it's above its bull market support band, which is definitely a step in the right direction. However, the bands themselves, if you kind of zoom in a little bit, the bands themselves aren't actually in an uptrend. They're kind of just sort of plodding sideways a bit. But overall, this is a pretty healthy chart. Like the fact that it bounced as good as it did out of the recent lows over the weekend and has kind of come all the way back up to its 20-week moving average. A number of memes have done that. A number of alts have done that. So you want to at least see that. But the fact that it got back above its 10-week moving average and is kind of sitting at its 20 shows that it's tracking with the rest of the market. which is good. At least it's not underperforming. Granted, it's not in that sort of top 20, green on that website I was just showing you. It still looks pretty good. Volume, I think, is holding steady too. So overall, I would say it's above average, but not necessarily, top tier like short list necessarily. But yeah, I think if you're holding it, I would say go ahead and keep holding it. It's hanging in there. It's doing better than a lot of things are. So yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, one thing to note as well, just on the narrative side of it, pretty strong community, still rolling strong. They still do spaces. And then obviously, I mean, the volume, always nice to see that.
Yeah,
Some of the charts
yeah.
we were looking at on Monday did not have those high volume bars. So good to see that. All right, we got another question coming from Alfie on the platform. Wouldn't mind a more focused look at Sweet Alfie. So would I. I mean, I have a lot of Sweet, so selfishly want to take a look as well. But as a new quote, he put it in quotes, layer one, will it take a while to get going? Or as it rides the banana wave, how likely is it to outperform Sol? All advice taken with a pinch of salt, of course. Thanks for the weekly.
Um, I still have high hopes for Sui. I do think just simply because of math, because its market cap is a tenth of what Solana is, it absolutely has more room to go to the upside, and it takes less money coming in to move that needle. So there's, just from that standpoint alone, the odds of it outpacing Solana over the next, say, 6 to 12 months are much, much higher. And so, yeah, I think it looks good. It's got a lot of good fundamentals going on still. They're continuing to develop. They're continuing to market well. Yeah, they had a little bit of a wobble with the Cetus hack, but I think they're coming through the other side of that. And overall, the structure looks pretty good. Now we can see, unlike like the last couple we looked at, the bull market support band here is pointed to the downside, and the price is actually underneath the 20-week moving average. So not as good as it could be, not a great look, but I still think that it's holding out well. Like, it's still overall in a longer term uptrend, and I do think that the odds of it coming back here and setting higher all-time highs are very high. Like, I still believe in this project, from a fundamental standpoint, and I do think that we're just sort of we're kind of seeing a bit of a lull across a lot of layer ones right now. I not very many of them are doing that well, and so it seems like a lot of the attention has been more focused on DeFi and memes and even AI to some degree, and frankly Bitcoin, and so that attention will, as we know, it kind of all goes in waves all the time, and it'll probably come back around to these layer ones at some point. And I think that SWI is definitely one of them. There's also they've filed for SWI ETFs, which I think is obviously a positive development. Though I've heard that the approval odds are maybe lower than Solana getting an ETF in the short term. Solana actually could get an ETF even as soon as next month, I heard. Whereas if SWI gets one, it might not even be until like October, which isn't the end of the world. And that's still sort of in the timing band here for a good rally. So yeah. But overall, fundamentally, I think SWI is doing okay. And it's just sort of hanging in there right now. It's sort of doing what it needs to do to stay relevant. And like I said, they're continuing to build on the back end and continuing to develop new partnerships. And they're working with MasterCard and Visa and bringing a lot of sort of real world use cases onto the blockchain. And they're continuing to do a good job of it too. And we know that the team is as solid as they come. We know the team is all ex Facebook and Instagram and like just Google developers and people who have been there, done that, and have had a track record of success in bringing successful projects to literally billions of users, in the marketplace. And so I definitely wouldn't fade this team. I mean, they're again as good as they get. So overall, I'm still bullish on SWI.
Yeah, and what were you saying? You said it's below its 20-day moving average or 20-week
20
moving
week
average?
20 week moving average. Yeah,
I
this
mean,
big
hey,
red. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. Keep going.
I was going to say just this big red line here, this thick red line it's part of the bull market support band. Also, it's just it's the 20-week moving average. Price is below it, but you could argue that hopefully if it bounces here, it will have set a higher low from this previous low here, and if it can go on and resume this uptrend from here, then then we're good. So the structure looks just okay. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look amazing. There's certainly better looking charts out there, to be sure. But just knowing what I know about the fundamentals and where SWE sort of fits in the larger crypto ecosystem, I still feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, and if somebody, so let's say somebody who believes we have somebody who's really feels good about SWE and just general long term, it's dipped below that 20-week moving average. What do you say about somebody who's looking to enter? I would say now is probably a great time to get in if that's what you believe in that longer term. No.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And I do think that, once the rest of the market rises here, once Bitcoin does sort of break out of this range that it's in and starts to form, new all-time highs and get up into the 110s, 120s, 130s even, I think that, the whole rest of the market is going to follow. And certainly SWE will be one of them.
Awesome. So well, speaking of Bitcoin breaking out, Ken Bob has a question for you about that. Kind of at the beginning of the month, you charted that we looked at the 60-day for Bitcoin, and it was looking pretty bullish. But Bob wants to know from you, Kris, do you see a retest of 94,000 structurally, or are we gone from those potential lows now?
I would be surprised. To me, that wouldn't be my base case. To me, yeah, I really feel like we've done a pretty good job of cementing the 100,000 level as the current base solid support. Now, granted, of course, anything can happen. And if you notice, like the bull market support band is right around 97,000 to 95,000, right in this range right here. So if we do get something shaky, if more sort of geopolitical turmoil creates volatility, then we could see a potential wick down into this range here. But to me, I think as long as things remain stable globally, which I mean, of course, who knows? But like as long as we don't get any more sort of shocks to the system in the near term, I do think that the base case is to the upside. And granted, like I said, there are a chance where we do get wicks down, but they're just sort of intra-week wicks, whereas the daily close has managed to stay above 100,000, through all of this, really. And so, last weekend we got a little bit of a shakeout because the order books are thin on the weekend and market makers aren't working. And so you tend to get a lot more wild price volatility on weekends. And that's what this wick was just a product of that. And even this one here a little bit too, like on Sunday night. But since then, we've just rocketed out of there. And I think that, certainly if you look at this trend, you can't help but be bullish. I mean, we've flipped 100K to support, like I said at the top of the show. We've held this trend line for going on, 2+ years now, 2.5 years, and never really lost it or lost the trend. And now we've got basically a solid support level at 100,000. So I do see us, continuing to go up, and I do think that that breakout will come sooner rather than later. At least that's my base case. I think that's the highest probability scenario, again, barring any unforeseen geopolitical turmoil that seems to continue to rear its ugly head, basically.
Yeah, we'll see about that. All right. So I do want to highlight one trade from Robbie, our product master here at Real Vision, who's eyeing the hype. Robbie's up 85% on this trade just from June 24th, yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Robbie
Crazy.
put this trade in yesterday, and he's up 85% on the day. I mean, this is the alpha and the value that you can find within the trade
Dang.
idea. So don't just enter, just don't check those out for the for the competition to win. I mean, obviously do that, right? And enter your trades, but like just take a look at some of these trades, read through like the reasonings and the chart that they're posting, because you can really find some fantastic gems in there. I've never heard of this one before. I think Kris, you and I were talking about this one kind of came out of left field for us, and Robbie just found this, put it in, and look at it. He's just crushing it right now.
And this is,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is a stock too, mind you, not a crypto, and it's up 85%.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you actually click on the ticker there, right next to the long, it brings up actually some information on what this exactly is. It's loading now, but if you bring that up, it gives you the full overview and what that stock does, shows you the chart. You can break it down from like the 1 minute to like up to, however, I think it was a month, maybe more, right? Yeah, here it is right now. So right now they have a note. There's an unusual market move. Obviously, it's absolutely ripping right now. You can see the chart as well on it. You can see how many people within Real Vision have input that trade idea. So you can kind of see what the hive mind is thinking about it, if it is something worth checking out, maybe more. And then you can see it in the news and what type of media they have, media coverage they're having on it. So yeah, really great. And obviously this Robbie inputs this trade, but Robbie and his team have also kind of brought us these additional features as well. So just wanted to highlight that and shout out someone from Real Vision who really put in a great idea there.
I was wondering what the tie-in with Hype was, but now I get, okay, so they're basically operating a hyperliquid validator on the hyperliquid blockchain, and they've purchased 1 million Hype tokens and are validating on Hype, and so that's the tie-in there with that. But yeah, no, good for them. That's really cool. Amazing call out for sure. Like,
yeah, and great, Robbie, and great title on your trade.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, yeah. Using the hype to get some eyeballs.
I am the hype. Yeah, that was perfect. Very, very impressive.
Yes, go check that out, guys. And with that, that's gonna do it for us this week on trading the markets. Kris, I want to leave it to you. Anything you want us to kind of keep in mind as we head into this weekend? Anything you're looking at chart wise or other?
Just that I think things look well, kind of, again, zoom out if you start to get panicky especially over the weekends. Like, really don't look at the charts on the weekends because, again, the order books are so much thinner. There's so much more volatility. They're not representative of really what's actually going on in crypto. And so, like, don't even look at them, honestly. And yeah, just on the weekly, everything looks amazing right now. I really do think that, my bias is to the upside. I do think that better days are coming. I know Jamie Coots tweeted earlier today, stuff's about to get cray-cray, and all the macro data that we're seeing, all of the on-chain data that Jamie evaluates, all of it is just bullish. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And so don't make it any harder than it needs to be. Just sit back and watch the money come in and ignore the daily noise. By all means, do not look at the intraday charts, the hourlies, that's just going to make you nuts. So just sit back and enjoy the ride. That's all you got to do. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself. Looking, just staring at have a life, guys. I mean, yeah, look at the charts, obviously, but like not every second, every minute of the day. And also, I do want to leave you with this too, because this is like, obviously there's a lot of, uncertainty in the world going on right now, especially geopolitical wise, right? I know there was like the doomers on the timeline were, kind of worried about a World War III type event breaking out and all that. I have nothing really to add to that, but I do want to say, as someone who's involved in crypto, I thought it was super bullish for Bitcoin. How we didn't really lose that much. I think we dropped down to like 98 at the lowest of that, something like that. I thought that was super bullish for Bitcoin in general, right? I feel like last cycle, if something like that happened, Bitcoin would have been in like, the 80s or 70s based off of where we are now. So anyway, I thought it was really bullish. Something to kind of keep in mind and perspective as we kind of navigate what the future has for us. Been a great session this week. We'll see you guys on Monday for our live TA in Discord, and we'll catch you back again next week. Same time, same place. Have a great week, everyone.